healing. What exactly is it that we're healing? And what does it mean to be the new human? How do we overcome those limiting ideas about ourselves and change our perspective about who we are as spirit incarnated in a human body and what is possible for us? We're going to talk all about that today with the wonderful Ken Lloyd. Stay tuned. Coming up.
You got to accentuate the positive. Wow, I feel good. A little bit of feel good goes a long way.
You're listening to Karen Swain, teacher of deliberate creation, accentuating the positive, showing you a way to a better life.
Accentuating the positive, it's not just fad, it's sanity. Who in their right mind would accentuate anything else?
Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do.
G'day, and welcome to another show, Accentuating the Positive with Karen Swain. Always a blessing to be with you all. And we are on, as you know, the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network on 107.7 and 105.3 FM syndicated radio all over the joint. And all over the joint, when I say all over the joint, in America. Oh, Vladdy's tuning in from Germany, and Shirley's tuning in from Canada. We love that. And yes, as I said, we are talking healing today and transformation with the wonderful Ken Lloyd. Welcome to the show, Ken.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm excited to be here, excited to have a conversation with you about all these wonderful, exciting things that have been happening to me over past, coming up on 7 years now. What an interesting journey it's been.
Yeah, 7 years. So Sheila Seppi told me about Ken. Sheila Seppi from the Conscious Awakening Network, who is a walk-in herself and an amazing healer. And she said, will you put Ken on your show? He is the real deal. And Ken and I have been discussing that. Like, what's the real deal? Like, what to you is the real deal? There are a lot of people that do a lot of talking and tell you how amazing they are. But are they living what they say? I don't know. Ken has had an incredible transformation, going from one personality to a completely other personality. And we were talking about how you met Sheila, because somebody said to you, oh, you might be a walk-in experience, because it's such a shift in perspective from what happened to you to who you are now. And so you connected through that conversation, the walk-in conversation, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me kind of describe the idea of a walk-in. And the reason I want to do this is I'm just a little bit different, just a different build, if you will. So typically a walk-in is when there is an exit event, the soul will walk out. And when we'll walk in, it's called a soul exchange. It's pretty common. The one coming in has a big mission for humanity and whatever those missions are. I'm not that. I have been shifting and changing. So I'm what now is called a soul infusion. We'll get into that a little bit more. So the idea of my near-death experience, where you would go over and you would have a meeting, right? Or you would meet somebody, or you'd have an instant healing. You would have these phenomenal things happen to you with most near-death experiences. Mine wasn't like that. So imagine it didn't happen like this, but metaphorically, imagine that the tunnel opens, but you don't actually go over. They come over to you. So I had one come over. I did not know it at the time. It took me almost a year and a half. But one come over, very gently come over, and begin changing how I saw the world.
Yeah.
Changing my body.
Yeah. Let me read your bio so people find out a little bit about you. And then I'm going to quiz you, ask you a million questions about that. Yeah. Because I've not really heard that perspective before, which sounds fascinating. Yeah. So after a profound near-death experience in 2018, Ken Lloyd integrated 22 soul aspects from his higher self and oversoul collective into his physical body, allowing him to channel higher frequencies and transmit powerful ascension and healing codes to humanity using light language that is conveyed from his collective. So his collective being his team, his guides, his mob, whatever you want to call that. As a prototype for the new human, the cellular structure of Ken's body has been enhanced to enable him to hold a transformative frequency which has the power to deeply impact individuals, catalyzing profound changes in their spiritual, emotional, and physical well-being. Within Ken's holographic field can be found the Library of Creation. Again, something I want to ask you about. Don't really in your holographic field. Maybe it's in all of our holographic fields, where he accesses and releases dense energy programs, the root cause of discomfort. And Ken specializes in removing energetic blockages and unlocking dormant DNA blueprints, accelerating spiritual growth and facilitating an awakening of individuals. And your website is Lloyd with the double L official.com. So your near-death experience wasn't like you had an accident and died like some people, or what happened to facilitate this opening, this portal opening, and this receiving of these energies?
Absolutely. So first of all, no spirituality background, no religious background, never studied it, never followed it, just kind of an average person. I'm a 3-time cybersecurity entrepreneur. I've built 3 cybersecurity companies, and I've sold all of them. And it was during the third company, the acquisition of the third company, where life was really stressful. Business partner issues, so on and so forth. I was drinking a lot of energy drinks. I was on the prescribed ADHD medicine and under incredible amounts of stress. Employees, Bulgaria, Israel, partners everywhere else. And through this process, I was angry. I mean, probably the angriest time of my life, every day walking around just like this. And I had been diagnosed a year prior with a pituitary brain tumor, ice pick headaches, right? And later on, when they did the biopsy, it was cortisol tumor wrapped in a cortisol cyst. I just wanted to give you some background on what I was going through at the time. So I don't remember the day, and I don't remember exactly what happened. I just know I was triggered, and I needed to go lay down. So I lay down in bed, and as soon as I hit the bed, my stomach arched in the air as much as it could, and I was frozen in position in like an upside down letter U. For a good 2 solid minutes. And during that process, I felt something coming out of my abdomen energetically, and then I passed out. That's when the near death happened. Now, there's not much to tell you more about that, but I later found out that energy coming out of my body was my trauma. The team, what I had thought for a while, they removed my root chakra. What they did is they removed all the trauma out of the body except the trauma I was working on during the time. And I mentioned during this experience, the idea of the tunnel opening and one coming over is what happened, but I had no visuals, right? I woke up the next day just a little bit more peaceful. I was not instantly healed. I didn't get knowledge. I didn't know much happened, but what did happen is I immediately hit the internet and I began searching what happened to me. And I stumbled onto spirituality rather quickly and began reading as much as I could about what spirituality was. How do you do this? How do you do that? I was just fascinated by the ideas that people could do these things. And then I later learned you didn't have to be born with these conditions. If you healed your body, you could do that. So that's what happened. The one, if you will, the one walk-in took me on a journey of healing my body and putting me in touch with the people that could tell me what was wrong with my body, the detoxing, so on and so forth. So a period of 1.5 years or so, I went through this process, cleaning myself up, and I began feeling energies, and I began getting intuition. I hired people to help me understand what spirituality was, what is multidimensionality. And as these people were taking me on these journeys, I realized I was doing all the work. They were seeing the same thing I was seeing. I was able to do things that typically require a little bit more effort. And I had no idea that this was me. Then I stumbled on a book on how to do healing. Just read the book and I started doing it on people, energy healing, just basic energy healing, and they were having results. I had no confidence, right? I had no idea what I was doing. Here I am in an incredibly beautiful career of 27 years, working at an amazing company, and I'm more focused on healing people than I am with my day job. It consumed me. And later on, I took a modality to see, can I really do these things? And I did. And I was able to complete the course with no efforts. and heal the people that were on the call. And from that point forward, it's been an interesting journey. So the one walk-in, at that time, it's what they call a soul braid. So imagine the two of us together, right? Not merged, but kind of in my field. And he was working on changing how I viewed myself, how I viewed the world. He changed the way I saw things, made me a kinder, gentler person, turned off the news, turned off all external inputs to me as I kind of dropped into this very neutral, unpolarized state, which is kind of a neutral place that I like to play in. I thought that was it. I thought it was just the one. And then in April of last year, a year and a half ago, in a meditation process, 12 more came in. And by the way, I do lose count. And they were in a chrysalis, I believe you call it, like a cocoon chrysalis, I was told. And then in December 12th of last year, so literally the anniversary just passed, I get the message to go in the closet to meditate. And I don't meditate, folks, not often, not like we've been trained. I just drop in as I need to. I sat down and I found myself frozen in my chair. I couldn't twitch, not a single muscle. And I could feel this energy coming down through the crown, really, really heavy into my body. And I began asking questions. Who are you? It was my higher self and aspects of the oversoul. And they said, now's not the time to ask questions. We're a little busy. And you could feel this franticness in them. And they shut off my ability to ask questions for 13 of the 15 minutes. And let me tell you something, Karen. When we go into meditation, we want a quiet mind for 13 minutes. I actually experienced that. I hadn't before. But he anchored in. Now, it was the most incredible sensation in the body, and everything shifted. My entire life shifted immediately after that. So let me also explain, when a walking event occurs, when a soul comes in and a soul leaves. Now, for the audience, I never left, right? I've always been here. I've never left. But in that process, when the new soul comes in, they clean house. They get divorced. They move. They sell everything. They go through this life transformation because they really don't know and don't want to deal with all the trauma that was involved. I knew this. Sheila Seppi shared that with me. Like, okay, I read her book. Like, I'm good. I got past the first 30 days, no issues. And I've had a beautiful marriage. And now, 2 weeks after this happens, I get the message, now you're going to get divorced. I'm like, what? Where did that come from? And sure enough, from December 12th until right about March 1st, I had put everything I owned up for sale. And I had done really well. All my vehicles, the house, moved out, asked for the divorce, began that process, and journeyed to Mexico for 6 months. Now, my team called this the Great Reset. I didn't understand why. I'll explain in a moment. So as we do this, I'm in Yelapa, Mexico for a month. 9 more come in. I'm like, wow, there's 22 here. Now, I asked Sheila, I asked my friends, can you guys count these? Let's make sure we get the numbers right, because there's a lot going on here. And in July, kind of the big event took place. So the team in Mexico had my team, I call them the team of 22. They had me sit down and do Cambo and Bufo. Now, I don't like hallucinogens. I'm not a plant medicine fan. That's just not my character. But they had me do this within 2 hours of each other. And the idea of the Cambo opening up the cells in your body, and then the Bufo, which is the journey over to the other side, the DMT experience where they say it's the ego death. I actually witnessed that. And what happened here is, as the cells of my body were open, the 22 merged into my physical body. And we became what is known as an embodied collective. So my personality is here. It's never changed. But the 22 are also with me, and they help guide me through life, right? And through the energies that I'm delivering. So I hope that made a little sense, Karen.
Yeah, well, it's quite a story. Yeah. It makes sense to me. I don't know if it makes sense to everybody, but it makes sense to me. Because I've been talking to teachers now for 25 years, because humanity is going through a shift, and we get very attached to our points of view and like to hang on to like our limiting ideas about ourselves. And it's going to take an army of teachers to help us let go of that so that we can actually move to a new experience on planet Earth. But, with your, it makes sense, Vladdy says, yeah, what a story. Yeah, right. And Shirley says, yeah, wow, when Ken said his body was frozen, her screen froze. Yeah, actually, Ken reached out to me today, my morning, and said that he had internet problems and he probably couldn't come on. But I was out swimming, so by the time I came back, his internet had restored itself. So there are a few glitches with the freezing, unfortunately. But we are here to transmit this healing frequency to everyone who's listening, and it happens in your present, in your energy field. But does it also happen across a computer?
Yeah. So energy is non-local, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the reason there's 22 is I have modified my physical body, and they've created a energy. You think of it like a transmitting antenna, if you will. The reason I'm important to the 22 is that when they come down and they bring their energy, I'm a programmer. I'm a programmer by nature in the real world as well as in the etheric realm. And this is what I always do. I always show a time of great ascension, and I bring in new technologies. Well, in this case, a new technology is the healing energies, right? And it's not me, folks. I'm not healing anybody. They're doing the work. I'm just kind of the vessel, just to be clear. When they come through and I figure out how to heal someone's shoulder, as an example, with their help, right? I'm doing this manual process. I'm seeing the video. I'm reaching into the video, doing the thing I'm doing. I'm actually creating what you might recognize as a programming code or a healing code. These get stored in my field. So as people in the 3D move in and around me, they will begin getting the thing that they're ready for. Their team is part of that process, right? No one's getting something that's not theirs, but all these codes are stored in my field. And this is why when I go to an event or when I'm doing my events online, as I do the light language, those codes are being delivered. So the field around me, right? The idea of these codes being delivered, it shows up all the time in the events. I'll work on somebody's knee as an example, and not everyone's, but often in the room, the other knees are also healed. Sorry, sometimes that just shows up. They want you to recognize I'm what's called a hollow bone, meaning the idea that whatever needs to be delivered to the audience in front of me, to the person in front of me, whether it be on replay or in person, is delivered. It's not necessarily from these 22. I'm configured in such a way that I'm able to step aside, and when I do the magic that I do, whatever from the universe needs to heal you, needs to give you your codes, needs to activate those certain, star codes in you, they will show up. And I have no understanding or recollection of these things. It's interesting, Karen, when I do the light language, when I do these healings, I'm in the back of my head wondering if I did my laundry, did I check my email, do I have any phone call messages, right? They literally show up and take over in a very beautiful way, these healings that take place.
Okay, there's a couple of things I want to ask. I want to know how your wife felt about you wanting a divorce.
Heartbroken.
Okay. Yeah. Did she see that you had just become a completely different person? Because she married one person.
Correct.
And she divorced a different person. Like, okay, the personality is the same, but everything else is different. Like your passions, your thoughts, what you want to do with your life, what you think about. Like everything is different except for the way it comes through your personality, your human personality. Yep. So, yeah, okay.
100% different. I'm not the same person. Same smile, same me, right?
Same face, yeah.
But they literally, the reason all these things were removed during the Great Reset was to reset my frequency so I can come back, which I'm done now, and I'm now coming back around and bring in the reality that matches all of us, all 22, the higher frequencies, right?
Yeah.
this is what's happening with them. But it took a life lesson. And it's interesting. I was able to move through that without a lot of trauma. Like I don't have trauma attached from it, which is really interesting. You know, I should be traumatized given the fact that I was moved into that, but none. I don't ever think about
So it sounds like you're not attached to any earthly, materialistic desires that we all get attached to. We get attached to the people we're married to. We get attached to our things, our houses, our children, our cars, our position, our status, our place in the world. You know, I work here and I've done all this and blah, 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 blah. But it sounds like you're not attached to any of it, like anymore.
Right. I don't have a desire for anything. Now, they do.
What about being attached to being the healer and the transformer and like the mission, the new mission?
I got to tell you, if I didn't have this mission, I'm not sure I would be here.
Right.
This is the only passion I have. And no, that sounds a little cliche, but when you are in so alignment with your universe, your consciousness, your mission, showing up every day is the only thing you want to do, because it just feels so right, even on the days that are slow, right? Or those days that you have issues, technology issues. This is the only thing that moves the needle for me. And it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah. So where is the responsibility of the person in the healing? So you've said, I'm not doing the healing. I'm, stepping back and letting the collective move through me and, deliver codes and energies and restructure everything. But where is the person that's being healed? Where is their responsibility in all of this?
That's a really great question. And I've often wondered that, right? So my mission is millions of people, right? And for me to do the work on millions of people, I don't have the capacity to do individualized training and healing over a long period of time. Yes, I do sessions, usually 1 or 2 sessions as needed, right? But I'm not that guy that's going to come in and train you to do these things. And I asked, why is that? I asked the team, actually, it was an interesting question asked the other day. And I'm here to start the spark. I'm here to deliver that thing an individual would call a miracle. Maybe that is just feeling energy for the first time. Maybe that is realizing their back's no longer sore after 20 seconds, right? Or their life shifts because the abundance blockages are removed. Whatever those things are for that individual, that's the spark.
Yeah.
Let's see what just happened. And how do I figure this out? The same thing that happened to me, very different, very uniquely and personalized. But this is what I'm here for, is to give them that experience so they start chasing their own version of spirituality and healing and health, things like that, raising their own frequency.
I see. So you're here to give them an experience of possibility, like this is what's possible.
This is what's possible, and to live it.
It's interesting because there's a healer down under called Charlie Goldsmith. I know that you said that you don't tune into other things, but why I bring him up, he was young, and he's still young, but this started happening to him, and somebody found him after 20 years of healing, because I think he was a teenager when this happened to him. They made a television show about him on HBO, on American television, and he became uber famous. And and again, that would be the question I would ask him. He became so famous, he's like too famous to come on the show. Like, I think that he got so swamped with everybody wanting something from him, he became a bit reclusive, moved back to Australia, and now he does the healings, but he teaches people about mindfulness and diet and giving back that responsibility, because a healer can take away your pain that you've had for 30 years, but your responsibility is how are you going to maintain that frequency, that energy, that you need to change your life, right? Change your thoughts, change your ideas about yourself.
Change the way you view the world as well. Right? It's not as ugly as it's made out to be.
Yeah. So you've been doing this for about 8 years. So the experience happened, and are you having this, I don't know, it sounds like you were just like falling around for a while, wondering what was happening. Did you get clear guidance from your collective? Okay, you're now here to be a healer and you're here to heal. I mean, did they give you the the story, or did you just have to work all that out?
I got to tell you, over time, right? Because I've never had these experiences, I didn't know how to receive, right? I didn't know how to receive the information, the messages, how do I communicate? And I went through lots of frustration over the years. Just talk to me a little more, help me out with this thing, right? And before I actually kind of moved into flow. But no, I had to go to other healers or other psychics or other close circles. Tell me what's going on with me, right? I would find out later that I actually already knew. And then those friends would tell me those things. And I'm like, oh, well, I knew that. And it helped build the confidence of the communication. And I still do it, right? And I'm still like, hey, what is this thing going on? But I'm getting better and better at the communication aspect with the 22. And, they're coming online more and more. 2025, as I mentioned, 2025 is a big year because I've completed the life reset. And now that I'm on the upswing, they're going to bring in more and more frequencies. And this just happened the other day, by the way. Mm. So I do my group sessions on Wednesdays. And when I do these, it's about 20, 25 minutes of solid light language. Now there's intent. It's all written down on what the themes are. And I had 13 different energies flow through me that I hadn't felt before. And I could feel their expression. Right? I could feel them clamoring at the top, me next, me next, me next. It was really, really interesting to actually witness. It was the first time, literally the other day, I witnessed from an observer effect, the hollow bone theory, right? And it was absolutely incredible. So more and more of these things are coming online. I don't talk to the 22 individually. Right? I don't have conversations with them individually. They have my voice off to the right. They have my personality, my humor to make me comfortable with what's happening, right? I couldn't imagine having even more than I have now in terms of voices and other things chattering. And that's the other thing I think we were talking about, right? They don't just talk. They don't come out of the blue and chat it up. It's about asking a question, about them showing up, for the client. I hope.
Oop, I think you froze for a sec.
Oh.
You about them showing up for the client, and then you said, I hope. Did you say I hope?
Well, no, I didn't know if you had any questions. So they show up for the client and they'll answer the questions for the client, right? But they don't necessarily answer questions for me. They'll tell them all about the client, exactly when these things occur, why they occurred, whatever these questions are. But when I ask, I don't get that same VIP treatment the clients do. It's really funny, right?
I'm going to say for now, I think they just want to keep you focused on your mission. So what did they show you for 2025? They've said to you, okay, you're here to heal millions of people, or at least to show them what's possible.
Yeah.
How are you going to do that? Do you do that through the internet? Do you do that through gathering large crowds in person? Like, how is that going to happen? Did they show you that?
The majority of the events he will do will be virtual. They will be overseas as well. But the idea of large crowds gathering really isn't in alignment with what he's doing. It will happen when it needs to happen. The large crowds over 1,000 are probably not in the venue, at least at this time. So this is what happens. They just show up, and I learned something about me as well.
And the light language, was that evident from the get-go, or when did that start coming in?
I got to tell you, I was listening to some random learn to speak light language 3-minute video. You know those, right? And I was on a high-speed ferry to Key West for the day, listening to the audio. And then I'm like, I got my hand over my mouth on the ferry. I'm like, what's going on here? What's going on here, right? And it's just been there ever since. And I've later found out that there's thousands of light languages that flow through me. And I use it not only now in my healing, but I also use it when I'm communicating with your heart, when I'm communicating with the ETs, when I'm talking to anything. It's always a negotiation with the light language, whether it's verbal or not. I'm still doing it up there. And it's incredible. I've been able to understand it's really about the intent, not the content with the light language.
Yeah, about the intent, not the content. I'd like to ask your mob some questions, but first of all, I'm going to just remind people that you're listening to Accentuate the Positive Media, Awakening and Expanding Consciousness with Karen Swain on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network. we are syndicated radio on 107.7 and 105.3 FM all over the United States and Canada. And we're streaming today on about 8 different platforms: Rumble, Odyssey, which is a blockchain platform, which I love. CEO is a New Zealander, I think, and Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. And yeah, you've all been very quiet with the questions. What do you want to know about healing? I'm going to quiz Ken's collective now. And because you don't need to go into like, okay, I need to like get myself out of the way and breathe and bring through. It's just constantly there. So I can just talk to you and I'm talking to them, right? So when you say I've integrated, I've embodied them. So when I'm talking to you, I'm talking to them, but I'm also talking to your human experience, as well as talking to them, the collective experience. I don't know, what do I call them? The off-world. Yeah. So, all right. So Ken recognizes you as 22. And why are you showing up as 22 identities or individual consciousness? Why the numbers, the 22?
Think of the divine light, if you will, the Christ consciousness energy that flows through him. The 12 that are in him are soul aspects or soul fragments, if you will, of the 12 ascended masters, and they deliver those energies as needed. The other 8 are Christed ETs, if you will. So the ETs also go through their own process of ascension, just like we will. And when that happens, they reach a certain level. So if the primary 8 that are on or in and around the planet right now are also being monitored, if we will, to bring in these higher vibrational frequencies. So you could think of the Zeta Reticuli, you could think of a Christed reptilian. You can also think of a mantis, you can think of the Palladian, Arcturian, Andromedan. Along with the aspects of the higher self and the oversoul. At this time, we are here to increase and raise the frequency of the planet and the people in a very dramatic way. He's not the only one. There are 10 others configured differently around the planet that will also bring in these intense healing energies, these rapid shifts in humanity's evolution, if you will, over the next 3 years. I'm sorry. I don't know what I'm doing when I'm doing that.
Don't say sorry. You don't have to apologize. So what do you see humanity most needs collectively? And what are these frequencies offering?
I'm going to ask you to repeat the question.
What do you see the collective humanity most needs at this time in our spiritual, conscious human evolution?
They need to learn the idea of release. They have held on to everything for so long, and they continue to hang on to the idea of the past. It is the now. Let's not get into that debate, but the idea of the past, the idea of the ancestor in the past lives, and all these things that happened in the past, they are actually bringing that in so it impacts them in the future. It is holding them down from their own ascension journey. They are looking for a reason, for an excuse not to move forward, when they actually think they're looking for a reason or an excuse to heal. That's not the case. Now is the time to release everything, and that's what we're here to do. No more stories. It's time to move forward.
Susan's loving this. Hey, Susan, just tuning in. What a fascinating and beautiful man. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, I totally agree. We're so stuck in the past. Like I've spoken about this on the show so many times. We get so caught up with the tradition. I went to Carol's last night down at Coogee in the local. And, you know, I said to my friend, she thinks I frustrate her all the time because she is into like, we do it this way. We do it every year. It's the same. We regurgitate the same old Christmas carols every year. And we're singing. We're on a beach in the middle of summer here in Australia. And we're singing Frosty the Snowman.
Yeah, like this. Are we sure you're going to do this?
I'm like, why are we singing these carols on a beach in Australia? You know, can't they come up with some new songs? Anyway, so we get so stuck in the past and tradition, and we just keep regurgitating the same old. How do we shift this? How do we shift this? I know that you're bringing through new frequencies. How are the new frequencies shifting this attachment to tradition and the past and the old ways? How are the new frequencies?
Let me give you an example. As we talked earlier in the intro, we talked about the Library of Creation. Okay, so this will really nice segue into the Library of Creation. So the Library of Creation is a holographic representation of a place in the middle astral realm, so I'm told. Kind of the same place where the Akasha is at, as an example. The Library of Creation is a library of all creation. It's your story. It's every single thing about you about humanity, about the ETs, about creation, but it's actually more. It is where creation can take place. Now, you would think with the gifts that I have, it's not something that's teachable. And I didn't think it was, and it's not. But this library of creation, the holographic place, I've been able to take people into this library, and I'm a creator. I create these rooms. As an example, the room of the childhood memories. And when you go into this room, we are able to release, they are actually doing the work, not me. They are able to release the childhood trauma that's attached to an ailment, as an example. Without the story, without the memory, without needing to know, did something happen and what it was. We're able to go through those really traumatic moments and basically release what I call the energy interference. So let me pause. Everything that I see, I label the generic term of energy interference. We are perfect. Our energy fields are perfect. It's this energy interference, you could call it static if you like, this energy interference that lowers our vibration, brings in the disease, the illness, and the other conditions. When we remove remove the energy interference, the body returns to its naturally healed state. Often instantly in my sessions. This is the miracle for them, if you will. Whether it stays or not, it's up to them. So the energy interference is ancestral. It's past life. It's childhood trauma. It's heart-based trauma. It's trauma this time. It's karmic. It's all of these other things. But in this library, you can go into these rooms and do the work yourself without having to have the story. And this is evident. And I was able to show a group of about 46 people just a week or two ago. We finished the series, and I was blown away. I'm like, oh my God. It is so awesome that people can go into this library of creation without having a modality. Let me explain. The last thing, in my opinion, respectfully, we need is another modality. We need more tools from the modalities we have. I'm a little resistant. So, Reiki 5, if you will, or 4, basically more tools, and they're coming in for the modalities we already have. In this particular case, I'm pretty reluctant about any modality that I might bring forward. I'm like, I don't need to put my name on anything. I just want to be able to deliver. And this is the library of creation. There's no magic involved. There's no prayers to get in there. And when you get in there, your visualization is what's doing the work. So let me help you explain. Let me explain a little bit more mechanically. You're in my field, and you're tapping into that holographic representation of the library of creation. What's happening is when you're in there asking to remove or to remove trauma or to heal, perhaps a shoulder, the library is reaching into my codes, reaching into those healing techniques, reaching into those things that I've already done and applying them. Ultimately, those folks who go into the library get access to my tool belt to do the job. How's that for a little weird, a little different?
Oh, no, that's not different. I've heard this from many healers.
Oh,
yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, but how does this shift the collective? Because there's still so many thought forms on the planet which are tied up with tradition. Like you see, and they're tied up with religion, like men or women, like women aren't as good as men, and we've got to separate them, and only the men can do this, and only the women can. We've just like conditioned ourselves to be so limited in so many ways, and then we tie it up with tradition or religion, and we get stuck in it, and we don't want to change it because this is the way it's always done. So how does going into the library of creation shift that on a collective level?
So there's a ripple effect as well. Okay, so you go in there and you raise your vibration, you raise your frequency by removing the energy interference. Well, you have a ripple effect also. Not only have you taken care of the ancestors, you all know the heal and release. We're not just removing the ancestors, we're healing them. So there's that ripple effect. But when you walk around and your energy is raised, you begin to detach from some of the noise out there, and you begin to emanate higher frequencies of those around you, which also raise. So as we all do this as a collective, we all start releasing these limiting behaviors, limiting patterns, right? We all see this already, right? We're beginning to see through Some of the things out there in the world that we thought to be truths are no longer truths. As we raise our frequency, we become more aware of what's happening, and we have better choices we can make. I hope that resonated with some of those in the audience.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about this because of Christmas time and watching all the parents last night, with all the kids and all the little babies get so excited about this same old story that we've been regurgitating for years about a man in a red suit with a furry cap. Again, we're on a beach in Sydney, Australia, and this guy is all dressed up in this furry outfit. It's ridiculous to me, and yet we just participate in the lie and call it entertainment or call it joy or call it happiness. And as I was walking home, there was a new bar that has opened in the main street of Coogee, and there was this lovely young man who stopped us. We're older women, and said, "Oh, you ladies look beautiful. We've got happy hour happening at the moment. Would you like to come in and be happy?" Meaning that the only way you can be happy is if you go in there and get cheap drinks. There's just so much to our society that is based on anyway. I've been talking about Ascension for the longest time, and I've seen a lot change in the world, but a lot hasn't changed. And I wonder, I suppose it's up to us individually to resonate with what you're saying and to do the work. And then as we die, the young ones come through, and then they're given that opportunity to do it. And it's about a generational thing, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, for some reason, my team keeps telling me that everything is accelerating. There's been a slow roll on the entire, ascension process. So respectfully, just like down here, we have politics. Well, up there's politics as well. And everybody's kind of jockeying for position out there on how they get to interact with the humans once disclosure and all these, whatever words you want to use, happens, right? It's actually kind of put a little bit of monkey in the wrench, right? And my team is like, no, now we're coming in and we're getting rid of the delays that are happening. So you can think of me kind of the team and what comes through kind of pops through all that noise up there, a little further out to bring in the stuff that needs to be done that has been kind of, again, delayed a little. So the delay's over. That's how they tell me. And they don't give me details, of course, right?
The delay's over. Yeah, I feel like next year, I know you don't do predictive stuff, but I feel like next year is the delay is over. Is going to be a fast, lots of change next year, lots of shifting, which will be traumatic for a lot of people because people don't like change. They like to stay the way they are. I had a woman on the show who belongs to, she was up on the ships when she was a kid. And she said that her team, I think they were Greys, said that humanity has been so stagnant. It's like the water at the edge of the river that doesn't flow. It gets really murky when it becomes stagnant water. They use that analogy for who we are, consciously, is that we've been stagnant water and it's getting smelly and it needs to sort of flow, keep moving forward. Yeah. What else do I want to ask your team? So Ken shared with me before that he doesn't ask any questions. He's like an empty vessel. He has no questions. So it's up to me to ask questions. And maybe you've got some questions. What would you like to ask the collective that is channeling through Ken? Do you have any questions about yourself personally or about humanity, where humanity is going? Let's ask about next year. Here we are at the end of 2024. We're moving into a new year. I've been given glimpses of next year, like the stream will be moving a little faster. What do I want to ask the collective? How can we prepare for next year? Personally.
Sit back and relax. There's nothing to prepare for. There's no big event coming that's going to impact you in such a way that we call the digital prophecies out there will come true. So just relax and flow into it. Focus on yourself. The message here, you need to go inside to expand. Your expansion is not out there, it's in here. Everything you need, everything about you, every little code if you want, inside you. Shift your focus. That's the only thing you have to do. That's the message.
And when we are inside ourselves, what are we doing? We're becoming aware of what we believe and think. What's happening when we go inside ourselves?
You're getting the answers to the questions you already know. This is the reassurance that you're on the right path, the connection with the higher self. This is the knowing that you are more than the physical body for many of you. And that knowing, that awareness is the one thing that brings you home. It makes you understand why you're here and why you're moving through the times you're moving through. It gives you hope when you have despair. It gives you the love when you have none. Everything's inside you. Open it up.
Yeah. Being, in my opinion, I love that name, in my opinion, she calls herself.
Oh, I love that cute, yeah.
In your own authentic self. So we spoke about anger before, and how can people deal with anger when anger arises?
We have the idea that there's always a reflection of the anger around you, the anger inside of you. And we recognize that is absolutely true. But you need to ask yourself, how many times has anger served you? How many times has it moved you through the situation? How many times has it actually brought you the thing you need? Question those emotions, question those feelings, find out where they're coming from. Why are you angry when you can't change what you're looking at? You can change what you're looking at, but you can't change what you're looking at. Shift your perspective, shift your focus. Those lower vibrations don't serve at this time.
Mm-hmm. So Susan says here, sometimes it feels like I'm never going to integrate Kundalini energy enough to feel normal and grounded again. It's been years of deep healing. Any insights from Susan?
Yeah. You can ask to turn it down. We recognize that you've already done the process many times. It's not just a grounding. It is literally asking your team to turn the volume from an 11 down to a 7. And they will do this. They can recognize the discomfort. You've had the experience you need to have at this time. Simply ask. Now, we, again, recognize you, believe you have asked, but ask.
So ask to turn it down, ask to be grounded.
So it sounds like complicated.
Pardon, say that again.
It doesn't have to be that complicated to reach these things we want to reach. There's no processes, no ceremonies you necessarily have to go through. Now, I'm not poo-pooing anybody's process or ceremony, but sometimes it's that easy.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I really do about the whole ceremony thing. People love the theater of it all. I remember years ago when I was, in my early 20s, I went to a channeler and she put on a whole act, the breathing and the carrying on. And then when the channeling came through, it was a completely different personality, it was a woman, but I was listening to this booming male voice in some sort of Russian accent. And to the young me who was exploring all this stuff, I couldn't get past the theater. I was so fascinated by the theater of it all that I really wasn't listening to what was being said, because I'm like, what is going on here? And I feel like it can be so much simpler. It can just be so normal. We don't have to do the Susan says, thank you. I keep asking.
So can I give her a message? Is that okay?
Yeah, please do.
So Susan, Shikatari na tunete mabiyan nishkin di ko shko papa alali ni ati shini nishkin da papa area ta nishkin ko papa mama ni ta ni shkin ko do shuni no ne shkin na. I was just working with your team. So granted, absolutely. So Shanita, they're building the grounding rod from the spine down. So just give us some time.
Sorry, say that again. I missed that. They're doing what from the
So they're building a grounding rod from her spine into the ground. So I connected with her team to make sure she's got permission. And what they do is they show me a little whiteboard with a little box, a check box. So when the team has permission for the thing, they check the box. Otherwise, we go into negotiation. And sometimes they get approval, sometimes they don't.
Yeah. I think it takes a lot of trust too. Like you would have been through this. When life totally shifts, like you have a Kundalini energy and you're feeling different, everything's different.
Yeah.
To trust in that to trust that it'll all rebalance itself when everything explodes. It'll come back into a new balance. You'll have a new balance. Yeah.
So it's interesting you mentioned that. So one of the things that I struggle with is understanding human behavior. I've been here I won't age myself, for quite a while, right? But I don't seem to have those same connections. The struggle of moving through the dark night of the soul. I just went through that, but I didn't have any struggle. couple nights of emotion of purging. That was about it. You would think there'd be more, but even just moving through, how do we get through these heart heavy trauma? How do we move through these things happening in the 3D world, whether it be job relationships and such? I don't understand how to do that. I can't comprehend how to walk a human through I'm going to use the word manual or the supportive process to release. So I have a difficult time understanding.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, so in my opinion, what is your name? I know that it's a cute YouTube name you've got. Oh, there's Kristen. My awakening has been quite hard. How do I go through it with more clarity? She wants to know. So
I actually see like two soul, we're going to use the term two soul fragments sitting outside of the body. They're almost in. They're just kind of hanging out here. There's a little, we're going to call it nervousness, if you will, right? They're just not aligned. You just don't have a strong, it's like having 3 radio signals. We just need one. No one quite knows what's happening right there, right? So you're getting mixed information. Those can be merged, and that'll help you build that connection and strengthen the communication. And they're good.
Yeah.
They're not nice.
And Susan says here, thank you so much. Yes, I've been working on just this. Thanks. I want to say something to you, Susan, and anybody else. You know, the awakening process isn't something you work on. It's something you allow. And when you don't allow it, it gets difficult. So it's like it's rather than, I remember I had a client years ago, became a good friend, and she said, I've been healing myself for 30 years. I've been doing this. I've been on this spiritual thing and healing myself for 30 years. And the message that came through me for her was, stop healing yourself. Like, just accept yourself for exactly who you are and that you're perfect. Because when you heal yourself, the concept is there's something wrong with me. And so you're holding that in your vibrational field, that you're not okay, that there's something wrong with me that you need to fix or heal or ground or overcome, rather than just loving yourself and loving the process and the transformational process with all its challenges. Like, love it, because it's moving to ultimately a new you, a new human. And in my opinion, says her name is Jennifer. Hi, Jennifer. And so what does Vladdy say here? I don't understand where I'm stuck. Here we go. In my beliefs and energy. For 4 years now, he feels stuck. I often went inside of me, I think that's what, but didn't get any answers. What can I do differently?
There's sadness blocking that process. Imagine the idea of just trying, not getting the results. That turns into, I'm not going to get the results, but I'm still going to move through the process itself. It's there. There needs to be a little bit of reconditioning, a little bit of reprogramming on how you actually connect. But it's there. Drop the belief system of how it needs to happen. Show up, drop it, and relax. And I know that sounded easy, but there's a process that individual has built. Drop in, relax. He needs to shift that up. Just move that process. Just needs to shift it up a little bit. Everybody's connected.
Yeah.
All of us are connected, and we just don't recognize the signs.
Yeah.
When you start picking up on those little signs, it's like if you think of the little pinprick dots of light, you pick up on it, and you just exercise that muscle, and it gets brighter and brighter and brighter, and it just opens that up.
Yeah.
I do want to remind you, I'm not sure in time, I do have a free healing gift for the audience whenever you're ready.
Oh, what's the free healing gift, anyone?
It's going to be about 5 to 7 minutes of me working on your audience.
Okay, well, we've got just over half an hour.
No worries.
Kristen, what's Kristen saying here? Question: Does everyone have an inner child? Does it all need work? I have had inner child work instructions, and it's never resonated or shifts or feels like there is an inner child within me. Interesting question.
Yeah. We all have inner child, but the question is, does that inner child need to be healed? Does the inner child need to be released? Or does that inner child just need to play? How are you cultivating that inner child? It's all inside of us. So right? We think the inner child has to be broken. No, it doesn't have to be broken. And by the way, I didn't know that until just now. It doesn't have to be broken, right? Cultivate that fun, the play, that childhood behavior. So it's all that.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe your childhood was, regardless of what was happening around you, you were just happy. And so you didn't take on too many traumas during your childhood. Maybe the traumas we take on.
They're actually saying she's looking in the wrong place.
Pardon?
She's looking in the wrong place.
She's looking in the wrong place.
So the idea that it needs to show up as this or that doesn't have to happen. I'll give you an example. When I remove childhood trauma, there's two ways, right? I'll take them in the library of creation, and the way it works is they'll do a phrase, and it says, "Please show me objects in this room that are causation or relating to childhood trauma, childhood memories, behavioral patterning that is creating the condition in my shoulder." This is an example, right? And it'll happen in the room. There'll be objects that show up, right? It could be a vase, it could be a child's bed, it could be anything. But here's the thing. The person doing this has no idea what that object represents, where it came from, what time span in their life. All they're doing is giving it, love and appreciation for the experience and then releasing it. That's the idea of stuck childhood trauma that needs to be healed. Where did it come from? We don't know. Versus dropping into the heart space and rooting around looking for that childhood trauma. It's stuck everywhere in us. It just shows up when the opportunity arises for it to be released. It wants to leave. It just needs to have a pathway.
Yeah, absolutely. It needs to have a pathway. I think that, with healing, we all get on this trajectory of listening to other people's stories. I think we have to, like you said, your guides instructed you not to listen to other teachers or, look on the internet, and to just listen to the instructions that they're giving you for you at this time. I think that when people start their spiritual journeys, they reach out to the internet and listen to everybody's story and then overlay that story on their own opinion, but rather listening to what resonates for them and what doesn't resonate for them. But yeah, the ascension journey, the spiritual journey, is an easy one. It might be challenging in that you get to become aware of the traumas that you're holding. They're in your face, slapping you around. You're feeling them. You're feeling disappointed or angry or upset or whatever. But it's an opportunity to release that, rather not by working on it, but by letting go. Yeah, Esther Hicks, The Teachings of Abraham, says it beautifully. We think that in order to get what we want, we have to paddle. We're in a rowboat, right? And we have to paddle fast upstream. We're on a fast-flowing river, and we're moving against the flow, and we're paddling. In order to get what I want, I have to, work harder and paddle upstream. And she says, let go of the oars and the stream of pure positive energy, or the stream of the consciousness of your soul, or the stream of your guides, or that healing energy will just take you to where you want to be. I think that's why meditation is so important. It's the letting go process. Yeah.
So even in my sessions, my team won't let me tell stories. I can see my ancestors. I can see the past lives, but I won't tell the story of how they're impacting the client at the time, right? And the other message that they just wanted to give while you were speaking was, healing isn't easy. You have to make hard life choices sometimes to move you in alignment with who you really are. You have to get rid of those things that have created the environment that you're unpleasant with. You can't stay in that environment if it's not resonating with you anymore. So move through those big changes in life. Don't be afraid of them. Recognize there is happiness on the other side, even if you can't see it. Cough, cough, me. So, right, I'm still moving through these changes. And
well, it's interesting that you say that you have to make hard decisions. I don't think you have to make hard decisions. I think you have to make decisions about who you want to be and stick to that. And then everything around you shifts. I remember years ago, I was, in a relationship with somebody. And one of the hardest decisions, and we discussed it with you, is having a breakup in a relationship. We suffer through that as humans. We suffer. That's like we do lots of suffering. And I, in my life, have done lots of suffering with that, starting when I was like 18 and I broke up with my first boyfriend. I wanted to kill myself. I felt so bad. But anyway, I'm in this lovely relationship with this man, and we're just sort of holding each other one night. And I said to him, oh God, like, this is over. This is finished. Not that I wanted it to be over. It was just like we came together to do what we needed to do for our own healing. And now the contract had finished. And he said, oh, don't be ridiculous. Don't be silly. We're having a lovely time. Why would this be over? It was so interesting, Ken, he went away, and then when he came back, I went away, and then when I came back, he went away, and then when he was away, I moved an hour away, and we just never came together again after that conversation. Like, we never came together again in that capacity. So we didn't have to make that hard decision. Yeah, it was just being in alignment with that flow, and life was making those decisions for us. It was really interesting when the decision is who do I want to be and how do I want to feel, not like, do I want to stay in this job? Do I want to stay with this person? Do I want to be this anymore? It just, I would imagine that when you went through your experience, all those decisions were kind of made for you. Like, just
They were.
Things fell away, things stopped working, things didn't.
People, places, memories, right? I don't have a, excuse me, something in my throat a moment ago. I don't have an attachment to my memories. I don't have an energetic feel to the trauma events at all. But you're right. And I like the way you put it. You just got to make a choice on who you want to be, and things will then shift around you. Elegantly stated. Elegantly stated.
Elegantly stated.
Sorry, I'm just over here with something in the throat. So
yeah. Oh, well, the internet freezes every now and then, so don't pick up on everything you say. What are you saying here, Susan? All right, maybe we'll get into this collective healing. Thank you so much for wanting to do that for us. In my opinion, thank you. I already healed most of my personal stuff when Kundalini opened. I've also been healing completely past lives, ancestral themes, and more. Breathe, darling one. Yeah, breathe. Yeah, breathe. It's all good. It's all good. Just keep breathing. All right. So your team, your mob wanted to, and Vladdy says, thank you. That didn't show up. Thank you to, and your guides. Yeah, the mob. Okay, so what are we going to, I'm going to speak directly to the collective. What are you working on today in this session? Is there any specific intent, or is it just a generic intent of healing?
It is touching the hearts of everyone in the audience. It is giving them the feeling of the love. It is letting them know this is what it feels like to have that pure energy just flowing through the body. We will be working on the healing for those individuals that are ready. They will recognize the shifts momentarily and over the next 3 days.
Nice. All right. So I'm going to say to people, just like Susan said, breathe, 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 breathe. Let go of needing or wanting anything to happen. And just, if you can, be empty for people listening live and people watching the recording during this time when Ken is going to do his thing. Just let go and let, what does it say? Let go and let be in the flow. And let's just enjoy this process. So thank you.
Real quick, grounding meditation. Just please visualize tree roots growing from your heart. Shetat mokoto. Allow them to grow down your torso, down each of your legs, down the knees, and down to the ankles. Down into Mother Earth. More, and more. And when you see the center of the earth, wrap those tree roots around counterclockwise. 1, 2, and 3. Now I'd just like you to visualize a black room, just a black room. When you're in there, I want you to fill that black room up with the universe, stars, planets, whatever shows up. And for the next few moments, just hang out. Shaka mokotoko mokotoka niata papa. Shikadiana Kodonia Balaka Kutushinit Kenya, Rosudonia, Chicken, our Golomokono, Shito Kotokacha, Pokodaku, Kuchkin Kakomokoli, and America, Komokuni, the Organico, Moshi, Nikini, the Pokodo, the Parea, Kadian to get up to Kapakotin that I could do to Chicken to Kumu up Alice, Nikita go no to see Aliana Papayato, Koto, Mapa, Piati, Tito, Shuto, Poko, Apa, Aliati, Shatukutu, Pukutu, Mukamba, Kushuto, Pokotopa, Ataria, Tia. Ayania Momoyato, Koshiako. Ka aliata kanito suyo mo pa apo ko suko po apa ani eti kini eto pok to ka ni takata ni ate ni English ko no sulo na apa ali ko no ka ma ali ani ko to apa ko si ni to si ni ko ko tari ke tari ke studio skach ko ko ne ko kan ke ari ke ko ni to mo po ni ako lu ko tri amar ari ni di ko 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 ka ako ala ko ka ko shoot to mo chi apa ani ako ni dar ke di ko ama ali ako mo ni si mo ya ya ta sikati ano ba yan pa ako ti ko ini ali ati ata ni si ako ko to ali ata ni ete to ko to shuko to apa ini ko to apa sha ko umu ni ros to sekalian atare to poko to sudah poko ko papayata si hindi kita siya. You can come out of that when you're ready. Thank you. For everybody, right? Everyone has a different experience, or perhaps no experience, depending on what they're doing, what they're ready for.
Yeah. I'd love to hear what people experienced during that. That was pretty intense, actually.
You know, for me, I don't recognize the intensity. Like it's like sometimes I can feel the energy flowing through, but 99% of the time they're like, no, just check your laundry or something while we do whatever they do. And I think 4 or 5 might have shown up. You'll notice the different voices as tonalities and such, right? And I never know what, it's the intent, not the content. So I don't know why those ones show up for who's ever in the audience. But think of it like this. Think of it as your long lost distant cousin able to finally show up and say hello.
Yeah. Yeah, Susan says, whoa, major party, love and gratitude. Yeah, major party. Moby. Oh, what are you feeling, darling one? Here, I could feel the energy of those listening in and the healing intent of everybody. So beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, I felt a lot of insectoid energy and mantid energy and ancient, like tribal energy, like ancestors, Indian. I always go to the American Indians. That's where I go.
I know there's a Mayan thing going on with me as well.
Mayan. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was in Tulum I was in Tulum when they were doing the whole integration, which I thought was interesting.
Who was doing the integration?
Sorry, when they had me do the bufo and the cambo, and they moved into cells of my body.
Oh, right.
That was right in Tulum, right where the Mayan pyramids are. So there's an aspect of me that is also the Palladian. It's a Palladian that has a Mayan background, I think. I'm not sure, and I'm sorry I don't follow those things, but
yeah, a lot of people have a lot of different opinions about that, the Mayans, who they were. But a lot of people talk about the ancient histories of Earth and the galactic histories of Earth, and it's pretty old. And the history that we have in our sciences is like a tiny speck on really what's happened here on planet Earth. And people tap into stuff that's never been documented or proven as real, but it doesn't mean that it's not real. Yeah. But yeah, who were the Mayans? So you were guided to go to South America to do these plant medicines. Why did they want you to do the plant medicines? To integrate what was happening to you, or
to move them into my physical body? They're not they're not in my field. They're literally in every cell of my body. Like they're integrated in the physical structure versus them kind of just being around me. So they needed this process. And not for nothing, but Mexico's got some really clean food too. Right. And I was able to be vegan through that process. I'm not a vegan normally. It's just at that time through that process and eat clean, drink clean water most of the time in Mexico. But this provided the atmosphere, and I was isolated. So I didn't have anybody with me, and I don't speak Spanish. So true isolation really is what they needed in order for them to move in as they needed to integrate into the body.
Yeah. So when you say clean, it's pesticide free. They don't spray.
Yeah, all those things, right? I mean, you don't have traditional food vendors, food trucks like we have Gordon's and Cisco, and we have the commercial. They don't. Theirs, everyone's from scratch, right?
Yeah.
Better quality food with that
Yeah.
respect.
Yeah, beautiful. Do you think that I suppose that you've got a mission but people can integrate higher frequencies into their bodily system without doing, plant medicine?
Absolutely. I'm not a proponent of any ceremonial process, whether it be plant medicine or somebody drumming around the circle. Everyone should move to what they need to move to, right? I don't want to do it again. I didn't want to do it to begin with, but I was able to move through it in absolute ease and grace. I had the most amazing experience, right? I prepared for it. Psychologically, I was ready for whatever was going to happen. Everyone's on a different path. The one thing I do recommend is that don't abuse the plant medicine. Don't use the plant medicine as the only way to connect, because that'll have the opposite effect. Use it as awareness, as an opening, as your next breadcrumb on your journey, but it shouldn't be the only tool.
Yeah, because it's very popular here. Somebody reached out to me recently and said, I want you to put this person on your show. He talks about plant medicine, and I said to them, I don't talk about plant medicine on my show. I don't put people on that because not that I'm against it in any way. I asked my guides about it, and they said, well, if we wait for everybody to meditate and do it themselves, we might never get there. But it's a way of accelerating this experience, your ascension experience, a bit like healers being on the planet, giving you, like what you do for people. You can give them a taste of what's possible, but then it's up to the person to take that responsibility and to shift the way they think and feel to be in alignment with that energy, rather than expecting the healer or the plant medicine to do it for them all the time. So I have friends here in Sydney that have done it like 30, 40, 50 times, hoping, that's the next thing that's going to make me enlightened. Like they're putting all their, all their money on the plant medicine to do it for them, rather than just using the plant medicine to give them a taste of what is possible. But yeah, again, we have to come back to doing the work, like sit in meditation, be more in flow, be more letting go rather than holding on. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. What does Susan say here? Thanks for advice. Plant medicine can be a tool, but wasn't part of my awakening. Yeah. I mean, it's a very popular thing.
I've had a lot of folks in Miami use plant medicine, and I've had, some folks 60, 70 times, right? It was like a weekend thing, in somebody's garage or whatever the case is, right? And these folks had to come see me because I had to remove the things that they had attracted. So when you move away from the plant medicine being the teacher, being the guide, and you move it into, let's just say, an abusive process, it'll bring in the opposite. So do it with the right shaman, do it in the right environment, prepare, be ready. Do it only when you have discernment.
Yeah. I think we have to bring our power back to our decision-making process. Like making decisions, it's just powerful stuff. Like making decisions, Esther Hicks, again, coming back to the teachings of Abraham, which is stuff I used to listen to a lot when I was younger. Make a decision and line up with it. It's amazing. I was talking about this on a show that I was on the other day, and people were asking questions about being an asthmatic, or maybe it was last show. No, I was talking about it. I can't remember. But anyway, and I made a decision when I was young. I didn't want to be an asthmatic after being an asthmatic my whole life as a child and feeling reliant on the puffer. Like everywhere I went, that puffer went with me just in case I had an asthma attack. And one day I said, I can't live like this. I don't want to be this anymore. Done. Never had another asthma attack in my entire life. Like, wow, the power of decision making. Like, wow, it's incredible, isn't it?
Absolutely. You were able to remove that programming.
Yeah. Again, it was on the family history. What's Sabrina saying here? So we were all asthmatics. I saw and felt the works, galactic family, so many races, and also giant light angels and with wings flapping. Oh, this is what you experienced during the healing. Beautiful. Stars, nebulas, wormholes, the magic of the universe. We are one. Thank you so very much. Ah, that was cool. You had a nice time. That was beautiful. It was actually quite short. You said it was going to be like...
I thought it was going to be longer as well, right? Because typically 5 to 7 minutes, right? But they're like, this is all that's needed. So what I'm finding now is things are condensing for me as well in terms of what I have to deliver. I was doing hour-long group sessions, which, by the way, there's the healing code there if you're interested, 25% off the groups. But now they're 30 minutes. And it's 20 minutes of solid light language. Right. And then what I'll do is I'll go to the chat window. I'm like, listen, write the one thing you need me to work on. And I just go through without talking. Without talking to the person. I just go through it to the intent of the light language, which is happening. And the results are pretty phenomenal. I can do more in a shorter amount of time. And this is the goal.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with you with that. We get stuck on, I absolutely agree. You know, when people do guided meditation, they do it very slowly, and it's a long process. And it's interesting when you move slowly, the mind has the opportunity to do the shopping lists, like you said.
Yeah. I'll go
but if you keep it quick, it's like, right, we're moving down planet Earth, you're doing it, and now you're in the universe. It's like you're giving the mind something to do, and the distraction. That's the way I do it too. I move really fast with the guided. That's the guide said, just do it really fast. Yep. Do it really fast.
I give them a distraction, which is a black room with the universe. Watch the show as it arrives, and let's do the work in the back end. So you're just not interrupting it, behind the scenes, the ego.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do you feel the light language helps us or integrates with our energy field? What's going on here? Like, I'd like to hear, we've talked about light language.
The light language contains coding and instruction for your soul, if you will. These are basically pieces to the puzzle you didn't previously have when you incarnated here, not only in this lifetime, but previous lifetimes. And we will use that expression also for the entire human collective. Codes are being delivered to the individuals for the entire human collective, and they're being passed around like a shared key. We're using Ken's cybersecurity example. The evolution of the human is happening now right in front of you. This will be the quickest evolution of human history, human history that'll happen in your lifetime visually. These codes are now being shared with all 8 of the master races that are participating in the Ascension journey. Now's the time.
Now is the time. So they said that this will be the fastest integration.
Explain that to me. The idea of humans evolving, from one thing to another over 100,000 years, right? Absolutely. And then as we look at the acceleration of human, from our Iron Age, right, the Bronze Age, all of the computer age, and how fast things happening. Well, the human evolution is happening within the 30-year period, 30-year time frame is what they've told me. So the idea of the human becoming crystalline, and I think it's a little different. The idea of the human line crystal, I know we're not going to sit there and glow and be transparent, but that frequency will happen within the 30-year period for all of humanity, those that are moving forward. This is the fastest ascension process the humans have ever had. It's kind of what they're saying. Evolution of the body, evolution of our souls, our expression.
Yeah. Susan said something here that I had up before, that I'm not normal. I keep you in the best possible way. And I want to say, I absolutely am normal. Like, I didn't come in as anyone that was special or gifted or anything. In fact, everything that I've been able to do, my guides have said to me, and just like Jesus says, all of you can do what I've done and more. And it's the same. Like, we're all in this boat together. There is no one that's more special than another. It's an even playing field here. There is just focus and commitment. I've been focused and committed for a long time, like you, Ken. I was just completely passionate about all this stuff when all my friends didn't understand it. It's amazing what people want to talk about. But I've been doing this for so long. There was a time where I didn't want to talk about anything but this. But now I can sit and listen to people talk about their washing and their hairdresser appointment. And, I can listen to the mundane conversation because I'm not so, passionate about only talking about this. But there was a time when I was younger where I only wanted to focus on this and healing and talk about this. But now I could be a little bit more patient with people that don't want to talk about this. I had a couple of people over for dinner the other night. I'm telling them this amazing story, and they look at me and they go, "Oh," and then they move on to like, "Oh, I had beer last night," or
I
they
know.
just go, just like wasn't interested in the story at all about one of the guests I had on my show and how amazing it was. Not interested. Just sort of looked at me. Oh, didn't ask any questions.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I've had those experiences, right? And we hang as long as we can, and we move to our own frequency, right? Those folks that understand us.
Well, human interaction and human kindness, like not everybody has to be on the same page as you. There's still, we can still enjoy each other's company and not be on the same page. But I came in heavily veiled on purpose, began to lift in my 40s. Look, Susan, I've had people on the show who, I don't know how Ken is, he hasn't revealed his age, but have had a spiritual awakening. The person I was talking about at dinner the other night was Garnet Schulhauser. I think he was 56 years old, corporate lawyer, walking down the streets of Canada in a shopping mall, and a homeless man stops him and asks him why he's here. The homeless man turns out to be a guide that introduced himself in a physical presence that nobody else could see, and then flies him around the universe and shows him all these amazing things. So he was in his late 50s when that happened. That was over 10 years ago. Yeah, so some people have very important missions, and it's not until they're later in life that their guides give them the okay, now it's time. Like, you've had your human journey. Now it's time for you to reveal it. Another person, Kevin Briggs, who was conscious as a child, and in close contact with his ET guides, a council of 8 different ET guides. He was again in his late 50s, and he was going to never tell anybody but his brother, his best friend, and his wife about his amazing experiences. And the council said, right, now you've got to tell humanity about what you've experienced and who you are. And again, he was in his late 50s when they gave him the now is the time. And that was probably about 5 or 6 years ago, maybe longer, maybe 7 years ago. Yeah, so now is the time, Ken, right? Now's the time. Things are really ramping up.
For the record, mid-40s when it happened to me, right?
Right,
You just can't see with the filter.
There you go, mid-40s. Yeah, so I don't think it's a competition about how old you are.
No.
I love that, Karen. It's so down to earth about being normal. Yeah, confidence. The mob. Yeah, look, that's exactly it. The mob have said to me, rather than sort of being on the stage, stay in the audience, be on the stage, but stay in the audience. Like, we're all in this together. Like, the age of the guru is dead, the special one, the gifted one, the holy one. It's like we're all special, gifted, and holy. There is not a person on the planet that's not.
We all have that energy going through us. And this is why they want me to show up like me. They don't want me to show up with that persona. Right. No followers, please. Not like that. Right. They just show up and be myself and deliver whatever it is I'm delivering. That's it.
Yeah. It's too easy to say, oh, you can have healing because you're, holier than me, or more gifted than me, or more ascended than me. And I can't, it's too easy for us to give ourselves excuses that we can't do it because we're not special. Like, that's a big story humanity has. I'm not special. My guide said to me, if we're all an extension of God, how can you never be not enough? Because the I'm not enough story is a big collective thought form amongst I'm not enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not thin enough. I'm not young enough. I'm not fast enough. I'm not intelligent enough. I'm not pretty enough. The I'm not enough story is a big one. And they said to me, if you're all God, how can you ever not be enough? Enough is enough with the I'm not enough.
Nice concept. You're right. Love it.
Oh, dying one. It's been beautiful. We've got 7 minutes to go. Any last messages that you want to, that your mob, your collective, your team want to share with us, everyone listening to this, and the people that will listen to the recording?
Yeah, have patience with yourself. The process is going to unwind or evolve, if you will, regardless of whether you interrupted or not. You're going to expand. You're going to evolve. Have patience. Have peace in knowing this is going to happen. That'll help reduce the struggle that you're going through. Not everyone's on the same timeline. Your neighbor's today, you're tomorrow. Just relax with the idea. You're right in the exact alignment you need to do, even if you can't see through the door.
Yeah, perfect message. You're exactly where you need to be in this moment of now, all that you've been through, all that you will go through, you're exactly where you need to be. Yeah, and Vladdy, if you're still listening, because I know Vladdy's in Germany, so it gets late in Germany. He's been a part of my group for the longest time. He's such a beautiful being of bliss and light, but he's young, he's in his 20s. He was like, I think he was 20 when he first joined us, Vladdy and all the old people, because we were all older. And people of his generation were into gaming and getting drunk, and they weren't into the love and light story. So he had a really hard time finding his tribe in the place that he was living in Germany. But it's interesting when you come to stand out and to be a way shower, and how you don't fit into all the social norms. That can be a difficult journey. But yeah, you came to stand out and be love and light, and not to fit into those social norms. So, there's Vladdy, thank you. Yeah, just be easy with yourself, dying one. Everyone in the chat. Thank you so much, Ken. So you are offering 25% off healing code, healing. You do one-on-ones. I don't normally spruik people's business like this, but
no, that's why I asked. That's okay, but it's all capital. We're healing. Grab the group experience. If you like what you did for 10 minutes, we'll last a little longer.
So the healing that we did today, whether you're listening on the recording or you're here on the live, it takes an integration period. So give it a couple of days and just see what the difference is?
The general rule of thumb is when you receive energy work, it takes about 3 days for all that energy to flow through you. Some of you may have emotional outbreaks, right? The purging, don't worry where they come from. Just move through the moment and move that. If you have discomfort in your body and it's moving around, that's the energy looking to release. It will pop. It'll be a little sore before it gets ready to release and pop. So just notice 3 days. It's just going to move around, ground.
And sometimes people get very tired, right?
Yes.
As things are moving.
All of it, right? So you're going to feel potentially awkward. Relax. It's just the energy is moving out of the body.
Oh, beautiful. And you're doing some group healings too, some online group healings?
Yeah, I do online group healings every Wednesday. And the beauty of it is that you don't have to be there. You'll get the replay. And I basically go through the whole body over a 4-week period. Every Wednesday is a different set of body parts. And then there's a theme. We just did abundance, right? Soon I'll be doing love and light and working on opening the heart up. So every week is an additional theme that they work on. But it's quiet. It's quiet for you. It's 25 minutes of hearing me and the team just going at it heavy, hard and heavy.
Thank you so much for the work that you're doing. And I hope to see you down under one day.
I'd love it.
2026, you reckon? 2026, you'll come down under? Because we were talking about this before we went live, and the team said 2026.
I'm 26.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. Thanks, everybody who's been listening and watching. It's always a blessing to be with you all. And I hope that today brought you some healing, some release, some letting go of the limiting thought forms. There's nothing we need to gain. We already are all that we want to be. It's just letting go of the ideas about who we are not. That is what the healing's all about. Moby says here is saying thank you. And we'll get you back on the show another time, Ken, to see where you're going with all this. Because I know that you've been doing it for about 7 years now, 8 years now, since 2018. But in the scheme of things, it's still evolving and expanding, right?
Just a little bit. And the idea of steps, we all go through our own evolution. We go up a level. We'll call it levels for a moment. And we plateau. Maybe it's a day, maybe it's a month, maybe it's 10 years. And then we go up again. The way they explain me is I'm in an elevator that doesn't stop. And the rest of my life, it's going to continue to do this. And I'll be continuing to bring more and more in as it needs to arrive.
Beautiful. Thanks, everybody. See you all next time. Bye for now.